A Sphynx cat stretches out in a patch of afternoon sun, and there it is, a dark swirl curling across her side, pressed into bare skin like a fingerprint. She has no coat, no stripes to speak of, and yet she is unmistakably a tabby. That marking isn't dirt, it isn't a bruise, a stain, or a trick of the light. It is the same tabby blueprint that runs down the flank of a barn cat, a Maine Coon, or a shelter kitten. Only here, with no fur in the way, you are seeing it in its purest form. Some Sphynx wear that pattern boldly. Others seem to have none at all, until you learn where to look. So which one is hiding in your cat? That's exactly what we're going to work out. Welcome to Tabby Striped Cat, the ultimate Tabby Cat resource. In the next few minutes, you'll learn where a Sphynx cat's pattern actually lives, why every single cat on Earth is genetically a tabby underneath, how to recognize all 5 tabby patterns on bare skin, the small giveaway markings that confirm what you're seeing, and why your Sphynx cat's pattern can change with the seasons. Let's start with the thing that surprises almost every new Sphynx owner. On a furred cat, we say the pattern is in the coat. That isn't quite true. The pattern is decided in the skin, and the coat simply carries it upward and displays it. Pigment-producing cells sit in the skin itself. In a normal cat, they feed color into each growing hair. The Sphynx carries a change in a single gene, called KRT71, that leaves the hair shafts sparse and fragile, so almost nothing grows. The pigment cells, though, are entirely unaffected. They're still there. They're still doing their job. The result is a cat that wears its genetics on the outside. Nothing is hidden. Where a mackerel tabby would have a dark stripe, the Sphynx has a dark band of skin. Where a classic tabby would have a swirl, the Sphynx has a swirl. And Sphynx cats aren't completely bare. A fine sparse down usually remains on the ears, the nose, the tail, and the toes, sometimes softest suede across the whole body. That down is pigmented too. So the pattern often shows twice, once in the skin, once in the fuzz. Now the second surprise, and it's a bigger one. Every domestic cat alive is genetically a tabby. Every single one. Tabby is the wild original setting for a cat's coat. Solid cats aren't missing the pattern. They carry a separate gene that floods the pattern with dark pigment and hides it. Catch a black cat in strong sunlight, and you can often still see the stripes underneath, like writing showing through paper. Cat people call this ghosting. On a Sphynx, ghosting is far easier to spot than on a furred cat because there's nothing between you and the skin. So if your Sphynx looks like a plain charcoal or plain blue cat, take it to a window on a bright day and look along its side at a low angle. Very often the stripes are right there. So let's read the patterns. There are 5, and every one of them can appear on a Sphynx. First, mackerel. The most common tabby pattern in the world. Narrow bands run down from the spine along the ribs, evenly spaced, like the bones of a fish. On a Sphynx, they read as clean dark stripes on paler skin, usually strongest over the ribs and thinning out toward the belly. Second, classic. This is the swirl. Wide, soft-edged bands that curl around the flank into a shape often described as a bullseye or an oyster. It's the pattern that makes people stop and stare on a hairless cat, because on bare skin the swirl looks almost painted on. Third, spotted. Look closely, and you'll see that spots are really stripes that have broken apart. Instead of a continuous band, you get a row of ovals or dashes marching along the side of the body. On a Sphynx, spotted is one of the easiest patterns to confirm, because the gaps between spots are so clearly visible. Fourth, ticked. And this is where the Sphynx becomes genuinely fascinating. In a furred cat, ticking isn't drawn on the body at all. It's drawn on each individual hair. Light band, dark band, light band, so the cat shimmers like sand instead of showing stripes. But take the hair away, and there's nothing left to band. A ticked Sphynx looks almost evenly shaded, with the pattern surviving only where it always survives. Faint bars on the legs, rings on the tail, and markings on the face. And fifth, patched, better known as a torby. This is a tortoiseshell cat that also carries tabby pattern, so the body is split into rice patches of dark and red, with stripes or swirls running through both. On a Sphynx, the effect is striking. Warm apricot and cool charcoal blending across bare skin, each patch carrying its own set of markings. One more useful rule while we're here: if your Sphynx is red or cream, it is a tabby. It has no choice. The gene that produces red pigment switches off the gene that hides pattern, so a red cat can never be truly solid. Look at a red Sphynx in good light, and the stripes are always there. Now the small details, the markings that confirm what you're looking at, even when the body pattern is faint. Start with the forehead. Almost every tabby carries a dark letter M above the eyes, and Sphynx cats are no exception. It can be harder to spot here, because a Sphynx forehead is a landscape of wrinkles, and the folds can break the M into pieces. Smooth the skin gently with your thumb, and it usually pulls back into shape. Then the eyes. Tabbies wear dark pigment around the lids like eyeliner, usually with a pale ring just outside it, and a thin line running back from the outer corner toward the cheek. On a hairless cat, this is unusually crisp, often the very first tabby marking an owner notices. Finally, work down the body. Broken bands across the chest, sometimes called necklaces. Horizontal bars across the front legs. Rings around the tail, ending in a solid dark tip, and a darker line running the length of the spine. Even the faintest tabby holds on to these. If your Sphynx has ringed legs and a ringed tail, the question was never whether it's a tabby, only which kind. If you're finding this useful and you'd like more guides like it, subscribing helps us keep making them. Here's something no furred cat owner ever has to think about. A Sphynx cat's pattern is not fixed. It moves. Bare skin responds to sunlight the way ours does. A Sphynx that naps in a sunny window will tan, and the whole cat darkens. Sometimes so much that owners assume their cat is dirty and reach for the bath. The pattern deepens with it, then fades back over the following weeks in shade. Many Sphynx are visibly darker in late summer than in midwinter, and the contrast between stripe and skin rises and falls with them. It's worth saying plainly that tan is sun damage, not decoration. Sphynx cats sunburn easily and are at real risk of long-term skin problems, so limit direct sun. Consider UV film on favorite windows, and ask your vet about a pet-safe sunscreen if your cat insists on sunbathing. A softer pattern is a fair trade for healthy skin. Which brings us to the mistakes. The 4 things most often misread on a Sphynx. First, freckles are not spots. Red, cream, and tortoiseshell cats commonly develop small, flat black marks on the nose, lips, and eyelids as they age. This is called lentigo. It's harmless, and it has nothing to do with pattern. Tabby spots march in rows along the body. Freckles scatter around the face. If a spot ever becomes raised, or changes shape or size, have your vet look at it. Second, wrinkles distort the pattern. A stripe that crosses a fold looks broken, and a broken stripe looks like spots. So mackerel cats are constantly mistaken for spotted ones. Judge the pattern where the skin is stretched flat along the ribs, with the cat standing or lying long. Third, darker patches are usually not markings. Yeast can leave dark residue in warm folds, and oil builds up in the same places. Give the cat a bath. Anything still there afterward is pattern. And fourth, the biggest one of all, a faint pattern is not a missing pattern. Sphynx pigment can be very subtle, especially on dilute colors like blue, lilac, and fawn, and especially in winter. Before you decide your cat is solid, look at the legs, look at the tail, look at the face, and then look again in better light. So, to bring it together, your Sphynx cat's color and pattern live in its skin, not its coat, which is why they're visible at all. Every cat carries tabby underneath, and on a hairless cat, that ghost pattern is unusually easy to see. All 5 patterns are possible: mackerel stripes, classic swirls, spotted rows, near invisible ticked, and patched torby. And if the body is unclear, the face, legs, and tail will tell you the truth. Watch your cat for a season, and you'll see the pattern rise and fade with the light. There is no other cat you can read this clearly. If this guide helped you identify your tabby, be sure to explore our other videos here on Tabby Striped Cat. Until next time, give your tabby a scratch behind the ears, and I'll see you in the next guide.